Hello and welcome. We're about to tackle a massive question facing pretty much every enterprise out there. How in the world do you use the power of generative AI without putting your most valuable asset, your data, at risk? So let's explore the architecture that makes this not just possible, but secure on Azure.
Okay, let's just dive right into the deep end because this is it. This is the big one. It's the question that's on the mind of every CTO and every senior architect right now. How do we tap into these amazing models, but keep our sensitive proprietary data completely locked down and private?
So, first things first, let's talk about how Azure's entire approach to AI is built from the ground up to answer that question. You see, for them, security isn't just a feature they bolted on at the end. It's the absolute foundation of everything.
And at the heart of all this is the Azure OpenAI service. Now, the key thing to get here is that this isn't just about giving you a key to models like GPT-4. No. The real magic is that it brings those incredible models inside the secure, compliant, private network fortress you've already built on Azure.
Now let's get to the secret sauce, the core principle that makes this whole thing enterprise-ready. It's this beautiful, strict separation between your data and the foundational models that are managed by Microsoft.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, with public models, your prompts, your data, well, it could potentially end up being used to train the next version. But with Azure OpenAI, that is completely off the table. Your data is never, and I mean never, used for retraining. All your traffic stays safely inside your private network, all under the same enterprise-grade compliance you already trust.
So a good way to think about it is like this. Your Azure subscription is basically a secure vault. Everything you do, every single prompt you write, every piece of data you use to give the AI context, it's all completely locked down and isolated inside that vault. It belongs to you. End of story. All right, so now that we've got that security foundation locked in, let's see how this all clicks together in a real-world application. Let's build a smart customer support chatbot and actually trace a single user request from start to finish. And to build this bot, we're going to use a really powerful pattern called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or just RAG for short. This, right here, is the key to making the AI smart about your business. Instead of just making stuff up, the AI first goes and looks up the real facts in your private knowledge base, and only then does it generate an answer.
Okay, let's follow the data trail. A user asks a question, right? It hits our web front end. That immediately triggers a little orchestrator, let's say an Azure function, which is going to manage the whole workflow. Now here comes the cool part. The function takes that question and uses an embeddings model to turn it into a numerical code. You can think of it as a unique meaning fingerprint for the question. With that fingerprint, our system then uses Azure Search to find documents in our private data that have a similar meaning. That's the retrieval part. Then we bundle up those relevant documents we found with the user's original question and send it all over to the GPT model for the generation part. And finally, boom, the model generates a secure answer that's actually grounded in our company's facts and sends it right back to the user.
Pretty cool, right? So now that we've seen how all those pieces work together for a chatbot, let's zoom back out and see just how flexible this whole architecture really is. You see, that whole orchestration layer we just talked about, it doesn't have to be just one thing. You've got choices. You can use App Service for a web app or Azure Functions for that serverless, event-driven stuff. If you've got a massive complex app, you can use Kubernetes with AKS. Or if you want to empower your business analysts, you can even use Logic apps for low-code automation. You pick the right tool for the job and for your team's skills.
And what's really great is that you can reconfigure these exact same building blocks for all sorts of high-value use cases. Like you see here, you could use Logic apps to automatically summarize new reports that land in blob storage. Or you could use AKS to build a seriously powerful code assistant that knows all about your internal code bases. The pattern itself is just incredibly adaptable. So, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually get started? What are the first practical steps our team can take?
Well, here's a simple 5-step path. First, start small. Don't try to boil the ocean. Pick one specific, high-value problem, like, say, answering questions about internal HR policies. Then, deploy your dedicated Azure OpenAI instance. Point Azure Search at that policy data to index it, and then build a simple proof of concept using an Azure function to connect all the dots. And then, and this is the most important part, get it in front of actual users. Test it, measure it, and iterate. This is how you go from a cool idea to a real pilot fast.
So there you have it. The architecture is sound, the platform is secure, and the patterns are proven. The technology is absolutely ready to go. The only question left is the one you and your team get to answer.